To this very special burst episode of the Purple Rain Podcast, where today we're going to be talking about Olympics. We've got an Olympic update for you. We've got two massive Olympic updates for you, but one of those we're going to save for another time, because we're very stretched as it is. And I need to lady to be here with me for that update as well. But what I am going to tell you about today is this little update that we need to do regarding the Olympic groups. You remember in early year, back in February, so it was not long after the qualification was finished, which of course is what I spent the week off through the Rugby Series focusing on. That was a weird week that was, because obviously Lady went to go for the Rugby Series, even though she hates it. I went to go for the Olympic qualification, and Pluto just got a week's holiday. So there you go. We did an episode, and at the time we did wonder what was going to happen regarding the 5th spot in Group B. Because originally it went to Russia, but of course with them being sort of suspended from Olympic competition, we don't know what was going to happen. But we do now know that we got an update a few weeks ago, and I've got it on my phone here, so I'm just going to cross-reference it. So you might see me trying to read my phone and all that if you're watching. Just quick one who hasn't looked at the camera. Yeah, so we now know that France will be replacing Russia at next year's Olympics in Milan-Cortina. And we learned that is for both groups, that is for both competitions, so both the men's and the women's will see France compete. When was the last time that happened for France? Anyway, that should please my expats, because the majority of the pack are French-born, so that will please them. Particularly for the Eastern lot, because obviously the Eastern lot of our pack don't follow aren't with me playing with the PWHL. They're like our support unit, but they don't get into it as we do. So for those three, for the Eastern lot, they'll be fine. I've already got my teams for next year's Olympics, but I'll tell you more of that in the next episode. There's an episode. We're going to do an episode where we're going to go through the schedules, because they've been just released literally this week. But yeah, it's literally I think it was like the day after the Stanley Cup final completed. Yeah, so that's why we'll play to come on and do an episode of that. But we'll do that another time. We've got more time. I've got to do. Yeah. Okay, so I'll just read you through this. Okay, so Russia won't hit the ice for the men's and women's hockey at the Milan-Cortina 2026 Olympics, which again the IC has confirmed. Russia are gone! They are out! Oh, that feels so good to say. Let me do it again. It's Russia, bye-bye. Gone, out. Dare I do Ding Dong, the Witch is dead? No, I'll go, good news! Bye-bye. Out, 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 out. Yeah, I think you guys pretty much know my themes are about Russia, so I've always found watching big global events in Russia really uncomfortable. It goes all the way back to Pluto's first Eurovision, because Pluto's first Eurovision was 2009. I was so uncomfortable watching that. I also found watching the Sochi Games also really uncomfortable, just because of how my feelings are about said evil country. We'll move on. Let's start there, because it's not a political show. Yeah, so I'm just like, bye-bye, you druggies, you cheats, you war-hungry maniacs. Go on. Yeah, so they're gone. They're literally gone. Not even going to have a neutral team, which is like, come on. I don't get why they've been allowed to have neutral teams, because they still do the drugs! It's like, I see, have you learned nothing? They are obsessed with it. They are addicted to their drugs. Honestly. Do we all remember what happened in Beijing with the team figure skating? USA got cheated out of gold. Not fair. Bloody hell. Right, anyway, yeah, so bye-bye Russia. Oh, that feels so good to say. That feels so good to say. Oh, God. Right, okay. So, yeah. So the ban from Olympic hockey competition is a continuation of Russia's absence from IHF events, which began alongside Belarus in 2022 after Russia's illegal invasion of Ukraine. While neutral athletes from Russia may be able to compete at the Games, teams will not be able to assemble under such status. The IOC Executive Board recommendation from March 2023 with regards to teams of athletes with a Russian passport remains in place. The IOC said it is based on the fact that by definition a group of individual neutral athletes cannot be considered a team. We take note that the IHF has confirmed that it will follow this recommendation. So Russia won silver at the last Games in Beijing in 2022, just a few weeks before they committed that illegal invasion of Ukraine. It's not a war, it's an illegal invasion. Russia still has not given us a good reason why they did it, so it's an illegal invasion, it's not a war, it's an illegal invasion. Let's call it what it is. I can't remember who beat ROC in that final. I don't remember who it was. I know Canada and USA were head-to-head in the women's gold medal match, and Canada won that. But I can't remember who was the best final. There you go. When it comes to Olympic hockey, I've always followed the women's. I've paid more attention to the women's one than I do the men's one. So there you go. There you go. That's how deep I am into the cause. I've been from a very young age. But I do remember them winning gold in 2018 Pyeongchang. That was when Germany took up them on the finals. I thought, oh, if only Neil Johnson was halfway for Germany, could have got a medal by now. Yeah. That was when they were the OAR Olympic athletes of Russia. The IHF announced in February that Russia and Belarus had been suspended through May 2026. However, the Olympic qualification status came down to a decision by the IOC, the International Olympic Committee. With Russia out, that means France is set to take their place in both the men's and women's competitions. On the men's side, France will join Canada, Switzerland and Czechia in Group A. While in the women's competition, France will join Group B, which is along with Germany, Italy, Sweden and Japan. We talked about it back in February how Group B is a very much European-dominated group, with Japan being the odd one out. Well, now they definitely are the odd one out. You've got Germany, France, Italy, and Sweden, and Japan makes up that group. So there we go. Yeah. If anybody in the comments, please, or email the Purple Rain's email address. I'd love to know that. I don't recall the last time France was in the competition. The 2026 Olympics. It's the last thing I'll read before I finish off on hard-thoughts. The 2026 Men's Olympics tournament will mark the first time since Sochi 2014 that NHL players will be allowed to participate. While for the women's tournament, this is the first time since the creation of the PWHL in the summer of 2023. The 2026 Women's Olympics are scheduled to take place from the 6th of February to 22nd of February 2026, with hockey taking place at the Fiera Milano and the newly constructed 60,000 seat Milano Santigolia Ice Hockey Arena. The gold medal match for the men's tournament will take place on the 22nd of February, while the gold medal match for the women's, which most likely will be USA v Canada, will take place on February the 19th. Yeah. And the schedules are now out. We're going to go through that another time. Like I said, haven't got time to do it today. So I also want a lady here as well to also go through that with us, because I want them to say what they think their highlights are going to be for that tournament. We'll go through how we think it's going to impact the PWHL as well going forward. Yeah. So we are still waiting for confirmation about if the PWHL will be letting players go. We think they will, because obviously Harry Knight has indicated that she will be retiring from international competition at the end of these games. So me and Lady think, well, the PWHL will let them go to Milan, but they won't let them go to the World Championships. We think that could be the way forward for every single time there's an Olympic year. So we can talk about that another time, especially if we get actual confirmation. With the men's side, I am now starting to believe that the NHL is going to stick to its word, because as well as getting the schedules this week, we also got, for all the men's teams, the first 6 players for their rosters. I will do a tier report bid on it. Yeah, because for a whole year now, I've not felt the league's good has believed stick to its word, but they announced back in February last year, we're good, definitely go to the Olympics. I'm like, are you though, Gary? Are you really? Are you really? Because you said that for Beijing, and then, oh, what happened? Omicron. And then, God. They got so spooked for that. Omicron wasn't really that big of a barrier, but it spooked the NHL so much, like, oh, no, China. Not going to China. And I got really pissed off by that, because I was still going to be going to have an Olympic break regardless, so... Luckily, my Sharks only had 3 games to make up during that period, so it was all fine, it was all good. Plus, we had Brody's night shift, so it didn't infect the podcast too much, but I'm just saying... I don't trust Gary Bettman these days, I really don't, especially when it comes to international competition. But I'm starting to believe it now, because we've now got the first 6 players for each team in the men's competition. So I'll do a video on that. And I think if you look at those initial 6, no prizes for guessing who I'm going to be back on the men's side. Yeah, but we can talk about that another time. Yeah. So, big sigh of relief there now. We now have got concrete information on the goods. Because obviously, back when we had the Olympic qualification, the final Olympic qualification back in February, it was kind of a come see, come start. So we've now got the 3 teams that have won their qualifiers. But there's still a great big elephant in the room of what we do about Russia. And we still record that episode regardless, because we wanted to give you the details of that anyway. Especially as how this is going to be the first Olympic tournament since the PWHL form. And I think I did say at the time, we will update you when we get that information. And of course, we've now got the information. Timing was shit, because it happened during the Stanley Cup final. Or for me, to a lady, the PWHL expansion process! And what I've heard from my Eastern members of the pack, probably a good job boycotting this year's Stanley Cup. So yeah, they're not. They are so fuming with how it went down. Not surprised, given how well them is in the Pampers division. For those 3, they've spent the last few days just letting rip, just telling me how it all went down. And what I was like, you did the right thing. I know I did the right thing. It's called taking a stand, boys and girls. It's called taking a stand when you get attacked by the man. You stick it to him. And that's exactly what I did. I stuck it to Gary Bettman. You can find out more of that coming up on a future episode to report. So, yes. Anyway, but great news for France. Ice hockey's not really very well known for the French, is it? It's really not. And yet, of course, we know for a fact that obviously France is going to be hosting the Foreign Olympics, so after Milan-Cortina, which is going to be the French Alps in 2030. So that probably is going to mean back-to-back participation for France. So based on what I was going to say to French is, if you don't do one next year, don't worry about it, because we'll probably see you again in 4 years' time. Yeah, so we know that the French Alps are going to be hosting the 2030 games. But I don't think ice hockey is something that's well known for in France. So we'll see how that goes. I think France will be really interesting to see how they play in this next tournament next year for both the men's and the women's. They're probably going to struggle in the women's tournament, but for the men's tournament, you never know. You never know. Yeah, no. The men's tournament is going to be so interesting when we get to the quarterfinals, given what happened the last time. But the women's one, it's really interesting to see how the PWHL will be impact those Olympics. Yeah, just so excited. It's nearly here now. We are into the thick of the summer. As you can tell from the massive heat going on outside in the UK. How do you youngs cope with it, especially you Eastern lot? But anyway, we are well in the thick of the summer, and then before you know it, we'll be year 3 will be here before we know it, and then when we get to start year 3, it'll probably be about what 2-3 months before we get to Milan-Cortina. So it's gonna be before we know it, and I am really excited for this Olympics. But at the same time, it's gonna feel so weird because obviously I've been following women's hockey since 2010, which was the Vancouver Games. And every time the Olympics rolls around, it's like, oh yeah, it's great. We've got 2-3 weeks of being able to catch this. You know, get to see players like Kendall, Hoyt Schofield, Hilary Knight, Marie Plen, and all that. And then once the Olympics go, it's like, oh, that's it for another 4 years. Because of course, I had no clue there was a World Championships until I got involved with the PWHL last year. So I had no there was a World Championships every single year. So it's going to feel kind of a bit weird when we get to the end of the Olympics this time next year. And it's going to be like, oh, we'll see you in 4 years' time. The French up, it's going to be, well, okay, we'll probably see you next week. We get straight back to the big action. It's going to feel weird, but at the same time, it just shows how far we've come. You know, that we've now got a pro women's league for hockey, and it's just brilliant. And I think it's going to really see, in the years to come, it will see the international level, that gap, that's going to tighten. Because for the last 27 years, 28 we get to Milan-Cortina, it's been USA-Canada that have dominated, apart from that one game where USA did not reach the final and Sweden did. I can't remember the year. You have to go look it up for yourselves. Yeah. But I'm thinking maybe a few years' time, so not this next year's game, and probably not. Definitely not without Cleveland, but maybe French Hockey will solid. That's where you're going to see the international gap close, and teams like Czechia and Finland could challenge the USA and Canada for the gold instead. So it's going to be so the next few years are going to be really exciting, a little bit closer. Now we've got the PWHL because that international gap, it's going to tighten. You see what it's done in for the men's game, like how the last years we've had other teams get the finals over USA and Canada. We're probably going to see it. Maybe not now, but in 5 or 6 years' time, we're going to see that happen with the women's game. So I imagine by the time we get to mid 2030s, so maybe Salt Lake City or the one in 2038, that might be when the international cup will close, and you'll start seeing these European teams, such as mentioned, they're the ones now charging for the gold, while USA and Canada are trying to fight to keep on that dominance. So it's going to be very exciting the next couple of years. But yeah, there we go. So there you go. So that's a little much needed update on the situation. So yeah, so France in, Russia, there's the door! There's the door. And please let it kick you in the arse on the way out. Now, I'm not sure for the other events what's going on there. Although I would not be surprised next year if we do have, in some of the other events, we do have some neutral athletes from Russia. But they're not going to be anywhere near the hockey. So, well done, IHF. Well done. Kick them out. They do not deserve to be here. I personally would just love a full Olympic ban on Russia full stop, because they just not because of what's going on with Ukraine, but because they can't stop taking fucking drugs! They've not learned their lesson. They never have. They never will. They are so addicted to it. Even we've had the neutral banners. They still do it! They still do it. So I would just... So if I was president of the IOC, I would just ban them completely, because they just don't learn the lesson. They just do not know how to behave. They don't know how to behave. Go and make your own Olympics, and you can do your own rules. But here in the modern Olympics, not allowed. So, bye. Bye-bye. So, just before we go, just remind you of the groups once again. Now we know they're definitely locked in. So, in group, so this was the women's tournament, of course. So with Group A, we have basically the same group you had at the World Championships in Czechia a few months ago. That is Group A: USA, Canada, Finland, Czechia, and Switzerland. That's Group A. Group B now consists of, alongside Japan, host Italy, Germany, Sweden, and France. And I remind you, all of Group A will qualify to the knockout stages, and the top 3 in Group B will join them. That is how it will work. We'll go more of that another time. Like I said, we're gonna have the list schedule's literally just dropped this week. They've literally just dropped this week, so we are gonna have we're gonna go through them all. Me, we're gonna have them come on. We're gonna do a burst, and we'll go through the schedules, and we'll go through what should be some of our highlights for Milan-Cortina next year. But as I said, we wanted to do just a quick update to let you know. We did say we did it earlier in the year. We would let you know when we get that information. We've now got information, so there you go. That is now up to date, and it should be no. And of course, the schedule's now out. No changing now. So Russia, bye, and bonjour la France.